Before we got married, my husband used to live in a nice little house that he kept and added my name to the deed, and we use as a vacation home now. We only use it 2 or 3 times a year, and so we do sometimes let friends or family stay there for a few days or a week if they want to get away. This has never been a problem for us. But now we were asked to let my estranged sister and her husband stay, and I said no. My husband is in 100% agreement with me on that. My sister and her husband are at this present time homeless. They were renting for several years and in the same place a long time, but got kicked out due to issues with their landlord, and they're in desperate need of a place to stay until they can find a more permanent place. Background: my sister and I were very close growing up. My best friend for my entire childhood was a guy. The guy who is now married to my sister, for those who can probably guess. I always had a huge crush on him, and honestly I was in love with him by the time we were 20. My sister also had a guy she liked but not super well. When I was 20 we were all at a party and the guy my sister liked flirted with me. My sister was pissed even though I didn't flirt back and told him I wasn't interested. She told me we don't do anything with guys the other liked. I agreed. I never would have done that to her anyway. A year or 2 later my relationship with my best friend changed. He was flirting with me and I was flirting back. He was more physically affectionate and he started kissing me, and it felt like we were slowly becoming more than best friends. Things were progressing like that, and then suddenly I discovered that him and my sister were a couple and had started sleeping together. He told me he wanted to keep his options open, and my sister told me she really liked him and she wanted me to understand. I called her a hypocrite for doing that when she turned on me for the guy she had liked flirting with me after I turned him down, and then promising and making me promise we'd never do this to each other. She told me it was different. I told her I would never trust her or look at her the same way again. They told me I didn't own him. I told him he was fucked up for leading me on when he wanted my sister. Our family took my side afterward, especially my other 2 siblings. I haven't seen or spoken to my sister or her husband since. It's our parents who helped set up the request for a place to stay. And they were disappointed when I said no. My other sister and brother are firmly on my side, and they were disgusted my sister and her husband would even dare ask me. My sister said at least I get to live out my dream because I'm married with kids and she can't have any. And the least I can do is put aside petty childhood drama to help them not be homeless. My sister and her husband called me a witch for refusing, and even my parents said I was going too far with the estrangement by refusing to help. Comment 1, NTA. If your parents think your sister needs help so desperately, then why don't they help her? You have no obligation to help her. If you budge, prepare for spending years trying to evict them and then having to redo the whole house, because they will definitely be horrible tenants. So please, don't budge. Comment 2. Exactly what I thought. They will be homeless due to landlord issues means they are being kicked out. They will become squatters in your home. Never let someone who is homeless due to irresponsibility, financial or otherwise, move in. Never let someone who is jealous of what you have move in. She will take, and justify it in her mind, thinking that the universe owes her. Comment 3. NTA. They called me a witch for refusing. It's amazing how they want you to set aside squabbles from the past as they continue to mistreat you. Genuinely do not understand how she can even look at her husband, knowing he was flirting with and kissing you, as a way to keep his options open. That is, however, not your problem. You were asked, you said no, they began insulting you. I would send all their messages and everything to your parents and say this treatment is unacceptable, and I ask you to never request anything of me on behalf of my sister and her husband again. I, F28, got a job when I was 17 and lived at home saving as much as I could until I was 26, at which point I bought a small apartment for myself with a small mortgage that I could afford whether I rented or not. It has 2 rooms, one is bigger with an ensuite and the other is a single. I didn't want to live alone for safety reasons, so I posted about getting a roommate, them having the ensuite. I got lots of messages, but when people found out I was the landlord, they usually left the conversations. I was very upfront that I wanted clean/tidy/organized/quiet/non-drinking people, and my sister said that was probably sending a toxic message since I was also the landlord. So I stopped mentioning that, and very shortly after I found people. They're a really nice engaged couple, F29 and M28, and though I wouldn't say we are close best friends, but we are friendly, have dinner together sometimes, and the living situation has been really nice. The rent was on the cheaper side of average in our area, we split bills, streaming and internet etc., but they did not know I was the landlord. I will fully admit, I can be a strict. I hate things being messy/disorganized/loud, and especially since I am the owner I want things sorted quickly to avoid damages. So a few times I have scheduled checks to get things rolling if they're being pushed aside, and mentioned I might have to complain if things weren't tidied up properly. Recently, the girl had some health issues and has been working less, which means they have been struggling on rent payments. Again, I don't need their money to pay off the mortgage, but have been using it to help give me some extra money. I decided to come clean and mentioned I would cut the rent payments fully until she got better and found stable work again. They were nice about it and took the deal until she got better. They then moved about last month and I went on the search for new roommates. They started trashing me to everyone they knew about how I lied about being the landlord, was a strict pain in the which was trying to steal their money in a cost of living crisis to pay off my debts etc. Word has gotten around and I've actually stopped taking inquiries. Some of my friends and family members are saying I was in a hole and should have been honest about it from the get-go. Others are saying I didn't owe them that information and ended up doing them a favor. I don't really know what to believe. Was I the a-hole? Edit, they were paying for a single room together like what someone alone would have been paying. It wasn't doubled because they were two people. I didn't need the extra money, I just wanted to live with people to feel safer at home. What I was doing was legal where I am, I checked beforehand. No, I wasn't ridiculously strict, they could have a drink, just not parties and big groups, and I did give good timelines for any inspections far above the minimum requirement. Just for clarity, for damages I meant things like a window being left open and it rained so water damage was a concern. Breaking the front door lock after using the wrong key and it needing replacing. Replacing their toaster because the wires were exposed and I was worried about a potential fire. Their habit of leaving the stove turned on with nothing on it. Noise and stuff wasn't an issue, it was just something I put in the ad to deter party people. Mess only became an issue if it was left there for a few days/a week in communal areas and was getting in the way. Comment 1. YTA. You were misleading for your own benefit. Depending on where you live, there are rules for landlords that don't live on property accessing the property, including providing a certain amount of notice. If you live there, those obviously don't apply, but your tenants don't know that. They would have expected a reasonable amount of privacy from their landlord, and you knowingly denied them of that. You also may have different eviction abilities, which again is to your benefit. I'm not sure if this would be illegal, but if I were them I would look into it. And if I was someone interested in renting and I heard this, I wouldn't consider you and I would warn people. Comment 2. Yeah, pretty much agree. I don't know where OP is from, or what local laws would be in play for them, but in the UK you have far fewer rights, basically none, as a lodger than as a tenant. Comment 3. YTA depending on where you live. Where I am, UK, living in the same place as your landlord makes you a lodger. They have far less rights than someone living in a house with lots of people sharing but landlord lives elsewhere. The deception means these people are being misled about their rights. I'm not necessarily a stay-at-home mom, but I do have our daughter every day while I watch 2 other children. They are all 4, so I still make money and pay half the bills. I was in the room with my daughter while she was playing a video game. I was folding laundry. I was paying more attention to my laundry and my daughter went to the home screen and selected currency to purchase in a game. This was a $50 purchase. My husband's card is connected, so he was charged. He gets the notification instantly that his card was charged and comes in the room asking what happened. I didn't know, since I didn't see, and he explained the charge on his card and realized she made the purchase. He said it's fine, I'll just have to pay him back. I asked why, since it's also his child, and he agreed to let her play and he didn't put pin protection on so that this wouldn't happen. He said you were the one watching her. I don't think I should have to pay him back for this incident since it was an accident and she's 4 and I wouldn't expect him to pay me back either if the roles were reversed. He's still expecting payment back though. ITA for refusing to pay him back. Update. He contacted the company and was able to get a refund since she didn't use the currency and he put a pin on it. I'd also like to say despite this interaction, we don't generally argue about finances. We both like the way we have it set up, it's worked for us for half a decade. We do split the bills of the house, but he also has a car payment for his vehicle that will be mine once it's paid off, that I won't have to spend a dime on, and he'll get his next vehicle. He also pays for most of our vacations or trips out of town, and when we go out to eat etc. If he wants to make a large purchase, over $300, he talks to me about it first. He's also a great dad and provider. He does a minimum of 50% of the house chores, but honestly usually more since he has OCD, and he does most of the cooking and meal planning. I'm not sure if an issue like this will come up again either since we have added pins to the device. Comment 1. NTA. You and your partner should have locked down inappropriate websites, linked payments, the ability to make phone calls, etc. as soon as you gave any of your kids access to smart devices. There are tons of social media and news stories about kids ordering stuff accidentally. This is not a new phenomenon. In this case, it's your partner's device, so this one's mostly on him. Possible tiny YTA because you didn't verify with him before giving your kid the device. Comment 2. Let me get this straight. You watch your child during the day so there are no childcare bills, and you watch other kids to bring in money, but you still pay half the bills, and he's whining over $50 that you can probably get back if you dispute? NTA, but the money structure is very lopsided for you. You need to take into account how much you save from childcare costs. I don't get splitting bills in a marriage to begin with, but if you're gonna do it, at least it should be fair. 24F, recently discovered that I'm expecting my first child. My best friend, we'll call her Laura, 23F, and I have shared every significant life moment since we met in college. I got married 2 years ago to Laura's brother, and at my wedding Laura announced her engagement to my brother during the reception. I was genuinely thrilled for her. I've always thought of Laura as a sister, and now we truly were, and I really didn't mind at all that she shared her big news. It felt like our joys were intertwined. Last weekend was Laura and my brother's wedding, and it seemed like a beautiful circle of life moment. Throughout the wedding and reception, a few close friends began to notice that I wasn't drinking and started whispering guesses about my pregnancy. It felt like my news was already halfway out there, so after the speeches, I made a toast. I expressed my deep happiness for Laura and my brother, then, feeling the moment was right and following the precedent she had set at my wedding, I shared that I was expecting. Both our families were so excited because this is the first grandchild on both sides of the family, and after a handful of hugs and congratulations, I feel like the celebration shifted back to Laura and my brother. I thought Laura would be excited, but instead, she seemed upset. She pulled me aside after the toast and expressed that she felt I had chosen her special day to make a personal announcement, overshadowing her celebration. This reaction stunned me, especially since she had made a similar announcement at my wedding, a moment I had embraced wholeheartedly, sharing in her happiness. Laura has been distant since, and my brother has even spoken to me since the wedding, and I've been left questioning my decision. I thought that since I didn't mind sharing my special day, she would feel the same. Our mutual friends are divided. Some think it was a sweet continuation of sharing life's milestones, while others side with Laura, feeling the timing was inappropriate. So, AITA for announcing my pregnancy at Laura's wedding reception, especially considering the history and the fact that people were already suspecting and whispering about it. Edit to clarify, Laura, me, her brother and my brother are all close in age and spent a lot of time together in college. We went to college in a smaller town, and the four of us pretty much only spent time with each other, thus why we were close enough to marry each other's brothers. Also, if she hadn't married my brother and I hadn't married hers, I would not have felt comfortable announcing my pregnancy. But since my baby's entire family on both sides were there, I felt like it made sense. Comment 1. ESH. It's understandable that you thought you were continuing a tradition, but the way that you did it was perhaps inappropriate. There is a big difference between confirming what the people around you are guessing, and doing it during a speech for all to hear. Your heart was in the right place, and Laura should have seen that you were following her lead, but she didn't. She may also feel betrayed that you didn't tell her, your best friend, before you told everyone else. Chalk it up to a misread on all sides. You can get past this if you are sensitive to her feelings, and the two of you clear the air. Comment 2. Just because Laura didn't understand why Op did it does not mean everyone sucks. Else everyone who upsets someone is an asshole. Laura set a precedent. She also made an announcement during the reception. Op accepted and continued it. Laura got pissed because she's an exception? Definitely NTA. Comment 3. ESH. I mean, you just don't, do you? You don't announce huge news at someone else's big event. I get why you thought it would be okay, especially as Laura had basically done the same at your wedding, but although you were fine with it, that's quite unusual. It's basically wedding etiquette. Don't wear white unless you're the bride, don't start a screaming row with anyone, don't make a big life-changing announcement that overshadows the married couple. Man, it's not hard.